One of the subtlest yet coolest things that anime characters' design can have is based on a real world phenomenon that some people have that is very rare, and it's called heterochromia. Get used to that word, we're going to be using it a lot in today's video. Someone with heterochromatic eyes means that they either have different colours within the same eye, or what we're going to be focusing on in today's video, complete heterochromia, where each eye is a completely different colour. I don't know what it is about them, it's just something that I've always thought looks really cool in anime, and by extension, of course, in real life too. You see, less than 1% of the entire real world is said to have heterochromia. However, in anime, the reason why I find the phenomenon especially fascinating is because, as unique as it is in reality, the human eye is typically limited to only a few variations of colour, like brown, hazel, blue, green, grey, amber, and in some really rare cases, violet. However, anime characters aren't limited to these few. They can have literally any colour of the entire colour spectrum that they want. So combine that with the fact that you can have a character that also can choose two different colours for two different eyes, I think is fantastic. This is how we end up with awesome characters like Todoroki from My Hero Academia, Akashi from Kuroko's Basketball, and Mei Masaki from Another. Although, in that case, it's technically a prosthetic eye, but it still looks damn cool. In fact, reeling it in a little bit, even within the Yugioh series, we have a couple characters that have heterochromatic eyes. We have people like Season 4 Jaden after he combines with Yubel. We have Darts from the Sealavari Calco season, as well as pretty much the entire cast of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Though most of these characters, they have this heterochromatic ability due to being corrupted or just for some other reason. Now, the reason why this phenomenon occurs is due to variations in the distribution of melanin, which is the pigment that gives colour to the skin, hair, and in this case, eyes throughout the body. So for today's video, I wondered, are there many Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that featured this real world phenomenon known as heterochromatic eyes? I was curious to see if there were any and if I could put them in the top 10 list, and it turns out there's surprisingly quite a few. So I'm excited to invite you all to my top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that have heterochromatic eyes. Enjoy! Spellbreaker of the Ice Barrier, known in the Japanese as Spell Sealing Team of the Ice Barrier. Her card effect is, once per turn, you can send one Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard. If you do, spell cards cannot be activated until the end phase of your next turn, as long as this card remains face up on the field. Firstly, it's probably worth noting that this monster's artwork has been censored from the Japanese release to the international. Basically, she was given leggings in order to cover up her exposed legs. Damn you, censorship team. Anyway, personally, in terms of the entire Ice Barrier archetype, I still do prefer Dance Princess of the Ice Barrier's overall design. I think she's like really well drawn. However, Spellbreaker is definitely right behind her thanks to her unique and rare eye colours, which are actually quite subtle and can be easily missed. See, she has both a blue coloured and a green coloured eye. The green is actually quite significant as it is one of, if not the most rarest eye colour a person can have, as it is believed that only 2% of the entire world's population has green eyes, with the colour blue making up around about 8 to 10% of the world's population. And I'm no mathematician, but if you have like a 2% rare eye and an 8 to 10% rare eye, and you combine that with heterochromatic eyes, I don't know what the maths is on that, but I'm sure it's something. But that's not the only thing I like about this card's design. The fact that she has white hair as well, this isn't something too typical with anime characters. Yes, there are quite a few anime characters with white hair, but typically they always tend to be quite important characters in a series. Well, most of the time anyway. The fact that this monster has the pure white hair combined with the heterochromatic eyes with a really cool archetype, honestly, I think it's one of the more beautiful cards in this top 10 list today. Just before we jump any further into the video, I want to ask you guys something. What colour eyes do you all have? And are there any of you out there that have heterochromatic eyes? I'd love to know. You see, I myself, I have like boring brown coloured eyes, and brown coloured eyes I'm pretty sure make up to like 60 to 80% of the entire world population eye colours. So you can kind of see why I'm quite enthralled by these rarer eye colours. I find them really interesting. So yeah, if you guys want to let me know what colour eyes you have, let me know. Armades, Keeper of Boundaries, known in the Japanese as Armades, Keeper of Illusions. Requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner type monsters. If this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. A very popular synchro monster in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links game, due to its ability that you can just smash into monsters and most of the time they can't do anything about it. However, this monster's design is much more magical than that of Spellbreaker, as he wields both the powers of fire and ice in each of his hands, and by extension, this power is also shown to reside in each half of his body, as he has 1 red eye on his right and 1 blue eye on his left. Which of course, red and blue are amazing combinations to have as eye colours, and of course the red represents hot and the blue represents cold. It's very thematically fitting for the character. Now, like I was saying a little bit before in the video, this eye colour combination is only made possible through anime because the colour red and this kind of bright blue colour as well, not really possible in the real world. If you do have bright red eyes and maybe some Tomo around them as well, you might have a Sharingan, sir, and could you please send me your location because I would like to come and just, pop them out so I can take them for myself, so I too can wield the Sharingan. However, let's be honest, without the 2 glowing eyes, this monster design is just fantastic in general, and the pairing of ice and fire together really gives him a Todoroki vibe from My Hero Academia, which, funnily enough, he too wields the elements of fire and ice, and he also has heterochromatic eyes. Weird coincidence? Yugioh, the Swordmaster. His pendulum effect is, once per turn, you can banish 3 warrior-type pendulum monsters you control, then target 1 pendulum monster you control. If it attacks your opponent directly and reduces their life points to 0 this turn, you win the match. Its monster's flavor text reads, "The dust has now settled on this greatest of battles. Hail to your victories." I've talked about this monster before because it was one of the prize cards for the 2015 World Championship, but my god do I love this monster's flavor text. "The dust has now settled on this greatest of battles. Hail to your victories." Whoa, that's so cool. Now, because this monster is a match winner, it means that if it deals the finishing blow with its pendulum effect, the entire game comes to an end and you automatically win. Now, a lot of people don't fully understand what this means. When you duel someone, if you reduce their life points down to 0, you win the duel. However, when you're playing in a tournament kind of environment, you always play a best of 3 game, so you have to win 2 out of the 3 matches to win overall. If you're playing a match winner monster, if you're in your first duel and you win with the match winner, you no longer need to play these other 2 duels. People don't seem to understand this. I've made 2 videos on this and they're like, I don't understand the match winners. Please understand them, they're so simple. You win with a match winner, the match ends. They've won the match. The downside to this, of course, they're banned. You can't play them in any tournaments. It's a shame. Check out my video, I talk about them. Now, just like Armades, this monster too has a single blue eye and a single red eye. However, unlike Armades that gets his from his fire and ice mastery, Yugioh has a very different reason for the choice of colours. What they are representative of are each side of the pendulum scales, as the pendulum scale markers are red and blue, and as such, this monster reflects this. This unique aspect also carries on to the other prize-winning card of that year for 2015, which was Kazunoha the Omni-Onjin, who too has a red and blue eye, as well as red and blue foxfire floating above her. I think this monster is very cool and very unique, regardless of the heterochromatic eyes, which I just think push it over to being super awesome. I just find it just an interesting way of using the pendulum kind of things reflected on the monster. It would be quite cool if all pendulum cards kind of shared this duality with them because they're pendulums. It's always swinging back and forth. I don't know, it's weird pendulums, but regardless, I think this monster is really cool. It's a perfect spot for the number 8 position. In fact, speaking of pendulum monsters with heterochromatic eyes, Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon, along with most of his combination forms, and by extension, Double Iris Magician. Odd Eyes' effect is you can reduce the battle damage you take from an attack involving a pendulum monster you control to 0. During your end phase, you can destroy this card, and if you do, add 1 pendulum monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. You can only use each pendulum effect of Odd Eyes' Pendulum Dragon once per turn. His monster effect is if this card battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is doubled. Since the archetype is called Odd Eyes, it makes sense that they would have odd eyes, heterochromatic eyes. It's pretty cool. Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon's eye colours are red and green. This colour is based on the hair colour of its owner, Yugioh Sakaki, who has green and red hair. Interestingly as well, Odd Eyes also has a magician form, known as Double Iris Magician, that, of course, also shares his heterochromatic eyes. And the beauty of Odd Eyes is the extra deck that is attached to his archetype. Majority of them also have heterochromatic eyes as well. Now, I'm not going to be able to list them all down below because a lot of them are like positioned, so you can only see side of their faces. So a lot of them you probably see in the anime better. But the ones I could find, we have the Pendulum Fusion, Odd Eyes Venom Dragon, the Pendulum Synchro, Odd Eyes Wing Dragon, the Pendulum Xyz, Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, and Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. And not only that, but we also have Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon, Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon, Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and Odd Eyes Phantasma Dragon. There's probably loads more. That's all you're getting from me for now. Wind Witch Ice Spell and Wind Witch Glass Spell. Wind Witch Ice Spell's ability is, if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can special summon one Wind Witch monster from your deck, but it cannot be tributed. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except level 5 or higher wind monsters. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent. You can only use the effect of Wind Witch Ice Spell once per turn. Wind Witch Glass Spell's ability is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one Wind Witch monster from your deck to your hand, except Wind Witch Glass Spell. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except wind monsters. You can only use the effect of Wind Witch Glass Spell once per turn. Now, both Wind Witch Ice Spell and Glass Spell are used by Rin in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 series. Now, these cards are fantastic for summoning Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, the ace monster of Yugioh, the synchro dimensional counterpart of Yuya, whose ace monster is Odd Eyes, that we talked about earlier, that also has heterochromatic eyes. So, you see, it all kind of comes round. Now, these monsters have a really awesome and charming design, with their standout being, of course, their heterochromatic eyes. It's unclear if the visor-like object in front of their eyes is the one that's changing the colour of them, or if the visor was designed after each of these eyes' unique colours. Regardless, it looks bloody awesome. Ice Spell's eyes are pink and blue, while Glass Spell's are blue and green. These two monsters together, with their awesome design and pretty impressive effects, rocket them right up into the number 6 position as one of my favourite Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards to feature heterochromatic eyes, and just the fact their design looks awesome, I just think they look really cool. Element Valkyrie. Her effect is, this card is not treated as Valkyrie card. This monster gets the following effects while there is a monster with the following attributes on the field. Fire. This card gains 500 attack. Water. Control of this card cannot switch. Element Valkyrie belongs to a small archetype known as the Elements. They are made up of Element Doom, Element Dragon, Element Soldier, and Element Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a monster who wields the power of water and fire. Her staff is a mix of the two. Her background also shows her above and beneath water and fire. As well, her attire is also themed after the colours red and blue. However, what makes Valkyrie rise up, of course, in this list is those heterochromatic eyes, which are red and blue, and they're very deep red and blue too. Very similar to Armades, who has a red and blue eye for ice and fire, Element Valkyries are for water and fire. The design of this monster as well is interesting because it's both really cool. I like the red plaited hair with like a little hint of blue in there as well. Looks really awesome. However, it looks a bit twisted, kind of the way she's positioned her body. So yeah, that's a bit weird. But regardless of that though, this is a solid number 5 position. Faux show. Medusa, Watcher of the Evil Eye, and Cerziel, Watcher of the Evil Eye. Medusa's ability is, when this card is normal summoned, you can target one Evil Eye card in your graveyard, except Medusa, Watcher of the Evil Eye. Add that card to your hand. If this card is equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, quick effect, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish that monster. You can only use the effect of Medusa, Watcher of the Evil Eye once per turn. Once per turn during your next standby phase after this effect was activated, banish one card in your graveyard. Cerziel's effect is, when this card is normal summoned, you can add one Evil Eye card from your deck to your hand, except Cerziel, Watcher of the Evil Eye. When this card is equipped with Evil Eye of Selene, quick effect, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use the effect of Cerziel, Watcher of the Evil Eye once per turn. Once per turn during the next standby phase after this card is activated, destroy one card you control. Now this archetype is actually quite new, and it's known in the Japanese as the Cursed Eyes. However, despite the fact that they're so new and we haven't seen their entire archetype so far, they actually have probably one of my favourite designs for card artworks out of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh series. I don't know what it is about them, they look fantastic. And of course, what are we going to be talking about? The heterochromatic eyes. These two monsters both have them, and their one eye is very clearly Now, there's actually a small amount of lore available for this archetype that you can find. Quote, it says, those who have fallen under the spell of the all-consuming evil eye. Cerziel and Medusa clash over the evil eye of Selene, which is said to grant great power. Cerziel overloads the evil eye of Selene during their battle, and thus is reborn as Cerziel, who begins plotting to take over the world. Whoa, how sick does that archetype sound? That's awesome. You gotta love Yu-Gi-Oh lore. Now, a lot of these monsters' designs look great because you can actually see the corruption that the eye is causing as it spreads throughout their body, giving this kind of like warped appearance, but their heads are always like so human. You kind of feel bad for them in a way. Absolute power absolutely corrupts, as we all know. I'm really excited to see more from this archetype in the future. Pretty cool. Yubel. Her effect is this card cannot be destroyed by battle. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. Before damage calculation, when this face-up attack position card is attacked by an opponent's monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. During your end phase, tribute one other monster or destroy this card. When this card is destroyed, except by its own effect, its owner can special summon one Yubel Terra Incarnate from their hand, deck, or graveyard. Now, Yubel is both a Yu-Gi-Oh card as well as an anime character from the series. Her dual-coloured eyes are very unique, as they are green and orange. These eyes reflect her entire being, as she is an entity made up of two parts: monster and human, male and female, love and hatred. This duality also carries over to her final form, Yubel, the ultimate nightmare. On the giant face in the middle of her chest, you can see those dual-coloured eyes. Weirdly though, her second form, Terra Incarnate, doesn't seem to feature any heterochromaticness to it. However, that seems to be the fact that it seems to focus on just the single eye. The single eye from her forehead seems to be extended everywhere, so we can forgive her for that. Now, this unique dual-coloured eyes of hers is later passed on to Jade and Yuki from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, when the two fused together thanks to the power of superpolymerization. This power allowed Jaden, when he awakened his eyes, to bring his signature monster Neos into reality. And I think it also allowed him to just like sense evil spirits and things and maybe like see like corruptions in people and stuff. Quite vague. However, honestly, I would say that Yubel could be the face of the heterochromatic Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster cards. Sounds so weird when I say it, but yeah, I feel like she could be the face of it. Looks awesome. Shrit, strategist of the Necros, and by extension, all the other Necroses associated with him. By the way, his name in the Japanese is Shrit, caster of the Necros. His effect is if you ritual summon exactly one Necros ritual monster with a card effect that requires the use of a monster, this card can be used as an entire requirement. If this card is tributed by a card effect, you can add one warrior Necros ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of Shrit, strategist of the Necros, once per turn. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. This monster is a spitting image of that of Todoroki from My Hero Academia. This is the second time we've talked about Todoroki on this list today, but both have red and white hair, as well as one reddish and one green eye. And while Todoroki wields ice and fire, this monster's attribute appears to be much more akin to water based on where he comes from. However, I want to be honest, the beauty of this monster is not only his design, but in fact the heritage behind his design. For you see, not all Yu-Gi-Oh cards are made. Some are born. Shrit is the child of Gishki Advance, who is the influence for his white hair and green eye. As well, his other parent is Gishki Amelia, who influences his red hair and red eye. However, that's not the only reason why I like him. He also ages throughout the cards that he appears in, giving him a much more mature look in some later appearances. For example, in Necros of Brianak, Necros of Trishla, as well as in Necros of Closelaz, which I butchered, I'm so sorry, and Necros Kaleidoscope. Ironically, at the time of making this video, Shrit has just moved from being semi-limited to limited, making the monster even more rare. So the fact that it's a monster with heterochromatic eyes, which is rare, and the fact now it is only limited to one, that's pretty impressive. Definitely number 2. So how about we look at my number 1? Madolche Magaline. Her effect is when this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to the graveyard, shuffle this card into your deck. When this card is normal or flip summoned, you can add one Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. Now, she takes this spot for a variety of reasons, but my top 3 would definitely be this. 1. She's a big fan of food, having her name being inspired by a French cake, Madeleine. Number 2. She has a witch-like sense of style, which I think looks pretty awesome. And her name is also a pun on magic, and that fork is either like a broomstick or just a staff. That looks pretty cool, pretty priceless. However, my third and biggest reason, you all know this is what this top 10's been all about, is her heterochromatic eyes, which are green and purple. Purple is actually not a colour we have seen too often on this list today. And as someone with a YouTube channel that's colour scheme is skewed toward the colour purple, how can I not say that this monster's design and eye colour aren't anything but awesome? Her eyes are different as well, as most of the other monsters we have seen today on this list have featured monsters that have a more human-like, realistic eye colour, which isn't a problem, and it has its own charm. However, with Magalene's design, she has a truly anime style of eye. It's wide and expressive, and as such, each eye's colour thoroughly shines through. I believe she is one of the true, clear choices for the number 1 position, and honestly, I hope you all agree, because she looks awesome, and she was one of the reasons why I wanted to make this list, because I always liked her design. It's one of the first heterochromatic eye cards that I'd ever seen, and kind of the inspiration for this list. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed this top 10 list. This is the kind of video I imagine a lot of people say, he's run out of ideas. Top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh cards with different coloured eyes. That's not true. I just wanted an excuse to make a video on heterochromia, but I was just trying to figure out a way to do it, and this was the way. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed and you would like to see more weird top 10s like this. Other than that, leave a comment in the comment section below with your eye colours, and if you have heterochromatic eyes, because that would be pretty cool. I think I've been saying heterochromatic a little bit wrong. It's more like heterochromatic, but I kind of just like smush it all together. I'm lazy, what can I say? Finish off this video by saying a big thank you to all the sponsors. Thank you first and foremost to my platinum Patreon backers. You know Yugioh 97, Chowderman 36, J24092, Spencer Davis. My gold backers, Stefan Pole, Jay Malo, Silver Defender, David Shanahan, Shogun, and Chungmin Zen. Also to my YouTube backers, James Forge, You Know Yudu, and Shinjo CB. Thank you very much, guys. As well to all my silver backers, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Thank you all for watching. Catch you later.